They told you that to survive winter, you needed gas lines, an expensive heat pump, or a $40,000 solar system. But right now, somewhere in rural Finland, a farmer is sleeping through a blizzard with no heating bill at all. 3 years ago, he filled a steel silo with sand-ran pipes through it, connected it to his home, and let his neighbors laugh. They thought he had lost his mind. His utility company thought it was a joke. Then winter came. The snow buried the roads, and his heating bill in February dropped to zero. And that is where this story becomes dangerous for the people selling you fuel. Because this system does not cost $40,000. It does not require a gas hookup. It does not depend on the grid. It can be built for roughly $300 using basic materials from an ordinary hardware store. Once charged, it can hold heat for days, even weeks, without needing constant power. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how a sand battery works, why it is far more practical than most people think, and how ordinary homeowners, homesteaders, and off-grid builders have quietly been using versions of this idea while everyone else kept paying winter heating bills. Before we get into the build, we need to clear up the biggest misunderstanding online. A sand battery is not an electrical battery. It does not store electricity. It stores thermal energy, pure heat, with sand acting as the storage medium. The science behind it comes down to specific heat capacity, which is simply a material's ability to absorb and hold heat. Water stores heat well. Concrete stores heat well. But dry, fine-grained sand has a major advantage. It can be heated to very high temperatures without boiling, evaporating, or corroding the system the way water often can. Dry sand has a specific heat capacity of about 830 joules per kilogram per degree Celsius. That means 1 kilogram of sand heated by 100 degrees stores about 83,000 joules of energy. Now scale that up. A single metric ton of sand is 1,000 kilograms. Raise that mass to 500 degrees Celsius, and you are storing roughly 415 megajoules of thermal energy. For comparison, an average home in winter may use around 50 megajoules of heating energy per day. In theory, 1 ton of hot sand could cover more than 8 days of heat. That is not just a thought experiment. In Finland, companies have already built commercial sand batteries using giant steel silos filled with sand and charged with excess renewable energy. Those systems can heat whole districts. We are not building that version. We are building the homestead version, smaller, cheaper, simpler, and realistic for one person to build over a weekend. The scale changes, but the physics stays exactly the same. Before going further, we need to address the pushback, because some of the criticism is worth taking seriously. One viewer said, "I am Amish." This is completely untrue. And honestly, that deserves respect. Amish communities understand practical building heat management, masonry insulation, and hands-on systems better than most modern homeowners ever will. But the disagreement here is not really about whether old heating methods work. They do. Wood stoves work. Masonry heaters work. Radiant floor systems work. The real point is that a sand battery is not trying to replace every traditional method. It is a complementary thermal storage system. In fact, the principle is very close to a masonry heater. You burn hot for a short period store that heat inside a dense material, then let that mass release warmth slowly over many hours. A sand battery follows the same logic. The difference is scale shape and charging method. Instead of masonry, you use dry sand. Instead of relying only on firewood, you can charge it with solar thermal excess electricity or wood heat. So who is this practical for? Not apartment renters. not people with no workspace. This system makes sense for homesteads, cabins, rural properties, workshops, and off-grid builds where people have land tools and the willingness to do physical work. And one more correction, this is not about petroleum fertilizer or chemicals. It is not chemistry. It is simple thermal physics applied in a smart, low-cost way. Now let us get practical. If you want to build a homestead-scale sand battery, the first step is gathering the right materials. The core structure is a steel container. At the minimum, you can experiment with a standard 55-gallon steel drum. But for meaningful home heating, a vertical steel tank in the 250 to 500-gallon range is far more realistic. Used propane tanks can work if they have been fully purged and professionally cleaned. Next comes the storage medium dry fine-grained silica sand. Not damp construction sand, and definitely not salty beach sand. For a 250-gallon tank, you will need roughly 800 to 900 kilograms. Then you need the heart of the system, the heat exchanger coil built from black steel pipe, ideally 1/2-inch or 3/4-inch schedule, 40 pipe. Add high-temperature steel fittings, ceramic fiber insulation, galvanized sheet metal cladding, and insulated outlet piping for the connection to your home. Material cost for a basic system lands around $250 to $310. Tool-wise, you will need an angle grinder, a welder pipe wrenches a drill with metal bits, a pipe bender, and proper safety gear. Placement matters just as much as the build itself. Because this system stores serious heat, it should never sit inside normal living space without fire-rated separation. Most people have 3 viable options. First, install it in an outbuilding or small shed beside the home and run insulated pipes underground. This is usually the simplest and safest setup. Second, bury the tank for extra protection and earth insulation, though repairs become harder. Third, place it in a dedicated utility room built with concrete or masonry walls and proper fire clearance. One final warning. This thing is heavy. A 250-gallon tank filled with sand can exceed 1 ton, so it must sit on a reinforced concrete slab at least 4 inches thick, fully cured before installation. Now we reach the technical core of the build, the heat exchanger coil and the sand fill. The coil is the pipe network that carries heat into the battery when charging and pulls heat back out when your home needs warmth. For a 250-gallon tank, you want at least 25 to 30 feet of pipe, though 40 feet gives better heat transfer if the tank can accommodate it. Shape the pipe into a vertical helical coil with a pipe bender, leaving roughly 2 to 3 inches of clearance between the coil and the tank wall. The inlet should enter near the bottom, and the outlet should leave from the top. If bending a full coil is not possible, straight pipe sections joined by elbows can still work. Before installing the coil, weld proper pipe penetrations through the tank wall. These joints must be airtight, strong, and rated for high temperature. Once welded, pressure test the entire coil by sealing one end, filling it with compressed air, and brushing every joint with soapy water. If you see bubbles, you have a leak. Fix it now, because once the tank is full of sand, repairs become costly and miserable. When the coil passes inspection, lower it into the center of the tank and keep it suspended so it does not touch the steel wall. Then begin adding sand slowly. This step is critical. The sand must be completely dry. Any moisture can turn into steam at high temperatures, create pressure, and damage the system. Fill the tank in layers of about 6 inches. After each layer, compact, and settle the sand around the coil to eliminate air pockets. Loose gaps reduce heat transfer dramatically. Keep repeating until the tank is nearly full, but leave about 6 inches of space at the top for thermal expansion and inspection access before sealing it with a steel cap. Once the tank is filled, insulation becomes the difference between a system that stores heat for days and one that wastes it in hours. A sand battery without serious insulation is little more than a hot metal drum bleeding energy into the air. That is why the outer layers matter almost as much as the sand inside. Start with ceramic fiber insulation, not ordinary fiberglass. Wrap the sides top and bottom with at least 4 inches of ceramic fiber blanket rated for furnace or industrial heat applications. Under the tank, place a ceramic fiber board so the concrete slab does not continuously draw heat away from the base. Secure the blanket with stainless wire or other heat-resistant fasteners. After that, cover the insulation with galvanized sheet metal cladding. This outer shell protects the insulation from weather impact, rodents, and moisture. Then insulate every pipe connected to the system. Exposed piping is one of the biggest reasons homemade systems underperform. Every uninsulated section leaks valuable stored heat. To connect the battery to your home, the best setup is usually a water-based heating loop with a plate heat exchanger. If you already have radiant floor heating or hot water baseboards, this is ideal. One circulation pump moves hot fluid through the battery loop, while a second pump transfers that heat into the house loop through the exchanger. If the home uses forced air, the same hot fluid can run through a water-to-air exchanger inside the air handler. Finally, install a temperature control device, such as an aquastat, on the battery outlet line. This sensor activates the circulation pumps only when the output temperature is high enough to be useful. That prevents lukewarm fluid from draining your stored energy and pushing ineffective heat through the home system. Now comes the question that matters most. How do you charge the battery, and what can it actually do in the real world? There are 3 practical charging methods. The first is solar thermal. Evacuated tube collectors can heat a glycol water mix to high temperatures, then send that heat through the coil and into the sand. On sunny days, this method can store large amounts of energy with no fuel cost. The second is a rocket mass heater or other high-efficiency wood burner. In that setup, you route captured heat through the battery system, so a short, intense burn loads the sand with thermal energy that can be released slowly over the next several days. The third method is excess solar photovoltaic electricity. If your panels generate more electricity than you need, you can convert that surplus directly into heat using a resistive heating element integrated into the battery. As for performance, a 250-gallon battery filled with roughly 900 kilograms of silica sand and charged to 200 degrees Celsius can store around 134 megajoules of thermal energy. A small, well-insulated home in a cold climate may need roughly 30 to 50 megajoules of heat per day. That means one full charge could realistically provide about 2.5 to 4.5 days of useful heating. That is not magic. It is simply a workable thermal reserve. But here is the truth. Most people ignore the battery is only half the system. The building envelope matters just as much. If your house leaks heat through bad insulation, drafty windows, and poor air sealing, no storage system will save you. Every improvement to insulation multiplies the usefulness of your sand battery. Maintenance is one of the biggest advantages here. There are no burners inside the tank, no fuel lines in the storage mass, and no complicated moving parts buried in the sand. The main task is inspecting the coil before winter pressure testing it and checking insulation and piping for damage. So the final takeaway is simple. A sand battery is not a miracle device. It will not heat a badly designed house for free. But for homesteaders, rural builders, and off-grid households, it is a low-cost, physics-based way to store, heat, reduce fuel dependence, and take real control of winter energy use.